Welcome to Recap, your go-to channel for all things cinematic. I'm excited to explore the world of movies together. From Hollywood blockbusters to indie gems, we dissect plots, explore characters, and uncover hidden treasures. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and join our Recap community for film recommendations and exclusive insights. Get ready for a cinematic adventure. Recap in English.
In 1944, World War II is reaching a conclusion. Finland and the Soviet Association have marked the Moscow peace negotiation, which declares that Finland should incapacitate the Nazis and drive them out of Lapland. The Nazis embrace a singed earth strategy and obliterate all streets, scaffolds, towns in their way. Somewhere down in the wild of Lapland, previous Finnish leader Korpi has chosen to abandon the conflict. With his steadfast canine close by and a solid pony, Korpi continues to prospect at the waterway, not surrendering until he gets only a minuscule spot of gold that demonstrates he is in good shape. Presently he has affirmation. Korpi starts digging openings all around the area while overlooking every one of the planes that fly above him go into a conflict he believes nothing should do with. After numerous long stretches of digging trivial openings, he at last tracks down a legitimate gold store and cries with satisfaction. He breaks the tremendous store into a weighty measure of pieces and conceals them in his tent, remaining up practically the entire night to ensure no one loots him. The following morning Espresso places all the gold in a pack and leaves on his pony, the canine following him intently. A couple of hours after the fact, Korpi finds a gathering of Nazi troopers drove by Broad Bruno. They have a perilous tank with them and a truck loaded with captured ladies who Warrior Wolf maintains exploiting. Korpi simply continues to compose, trading a look with Bruno, however, in any case overlooking them all. Wolf needs to shoot him. Be that as it may, Bruno stops him, saying the man is keeping in touch with his passing in any case. As Korpi keeps on riding not too far off, he starts experiencing every one of the bodies the Nazis abandoned. However, he isn't upset. At last he runs over a truck with 4 additional warriors who requested him to get off the pony. They investigate the sacks and find the gold, reasoning they can keep it, so Korpi starts thinking ahead and advises his canine to take off. One of the fighters attempts to shoot the canine, yet fortunately the unfortunate creature moves far removed before long. Then, the warrior calls Corporate Granddad and attempts to shoot him. The corporate takes his blade and with a speedy development cuts him in the head for a moment kill. Different warriors attempted to battle him for retribution. Yet Korpi moves quick and battles them hand to hand, wounding them with his blade and involving the bodies as safeguards when somebody attempts to shoot him. He pounds one fighter with a protective cap, and when the last one attempts to get him from behind, Corporate force him and kills him with his own weapon. Bruno and the others hear the shots and return to check, just to find the slaughter on the ground and Korpi gone. At the point when Bruno checks one of the bodies, he finds a gold chunk the warrior had concealed in his pocket and concludes they ought to pursue Korpi. A couple of seconds after the fact, the Nazis find Korpi out and about and the tank starts taking shots at him. Korpi makes his pony gain speed and effectively evades every one of the shots just to enter a minefield coincidentally. Bruno orders his men to stop the fire and holds on until Korpi steps on a mine, giggling on the grounds that he assumes he got a simple success. In any case, the pony got a large portion of the blast, so Korpi is injured yet at the same time alive. He awakens with a woozy head and expresses farewell to his pony prior to preparing to counter-assault. The Nazis are drawing nearer, so first Korpi gets the gold that dropped out of the sack. Seeing this, Bruno makes his vehicle stop and sits tight for Corporate to be finished so they don't need to put their lives in extreme danger picking the actual gold. Whenever Korpi has gotten done, Bruno arranges his warriors to shoot. However, Korpi is prepared with a gold. He likewise got a stone which he tosses at a brain to make it detonate. The subsequent smoke gives great cover, and when the Nazis started shooting, Korpi utilizes his gasping plate as a safeguard. Following a couple of moments of unpredictable fire, Bruno conveys a youthful fighter to keep an eye on Korpi, yet he's smacked in the face with a mine and the blast kills him. Next, Bruno sends 2 troopers to go down the roadsides, however the 2 of them rapidly step on mines. At the point when the breeze clears the smoke, they find Korpi has gone, needing to pursue him. Bruno orders for 2 ladies to stroll ahead as a well-being check, so Wolf picks the most frightened ones. This makes Honor volunteer in their place. In the interim, Bruno checks the region and finds bodies canine tag. Minutes after the fact, the gathering continues to progress with the 2 ladies restricted before the vehicles. Bruno utilizes the radio on the tank to request data about Korpi and gets some stunning news. Their higher-ups let them know they ought to stop pursuing him and that they're fortunate not to be as of now dead. It turns out Korpi was the most dreaded commando in Finnish history and no one needs to meddle with him. He battled in the colder time of year war and lost his home and his family to the Russians. So he turned into a merciless, vindictive fighter who took orders from nobody. The Finnish quit any pretense of attempting to train or control him. They just sent him out alone into the wild to chase Russian watches. He turned into a small-time, demise crew, and reports say he has north of 300 Russian kills. They call him Reserve, and that implies the undying. The story doesn't terrify Bruno, who needs to continue to search for espresso at any rate since he believes the gold should purchase right out of discipline, since clearly, the Nazis are losing the conflict. In the interim, Korpai continues onward until he finds a birth truck with a body inside. Involving it for cover, he rests behind it and continues to deal with his injuries, eliminating any slugs with his blade and covering the openings with soil. Out of nowhere, his canine appears, yet the little man is as yet loyal and watches Korpai from a far distance. At last Korpai nods off just to awaken a couple of hours some other time when he hears some clamor. The Nazis are here and they've procured canines to follow Korpai. Fragrance. Korpai promptly conceals under the consumed truck and watches the Nazis passing by. Seeing the canines are onto him, he holds on until the last truck drives by and rolls under it, quickly clinging to it so he's brought. Then, at that point, he penetrates the gas tank and presently the falling gas impedes the canine's noses, making it difficult to follow his aroma any longer. The trooper halted to make another arrangement, so Korpai attempts to take off. Sadly, the canines quickly see him and chomp to uncover his presence. A warrior figures out how to shoot Korpai in the leg, yet he continues onward. So Bruno sends the canines after him. Korpai makes sure to up a match to get a fire rolling on his gas-covered clothes, driving the canines off. The troopers come after him next, so Korpai hops into a lake. Bruno makes his men trust that Korpai will emerge to inhale, which takes a drawn-out period of time since he has fantastic lungs. At the point when Korpai's head at last tops out of the water, the troopers quickly shoot and the blood that shows up on the water causes them to expect they got him. 3 troopers get on a boat and arrive at the center of the lake, proposing to see as the gold. Be that as it may, when a trooper hops into the water, Korpai shocks him from behind and kills him with his blade. At the point when just blood shows up on a superficial level, Bruno sends the second warrior submerged. Yet once more, just blood restores the third officer ought to go straight away, yet he is unnerved and begins disappearing in the boat. Since this is considered treachery, Wolf shoots him. This allows Korpai the opportunity to take the body and uses it as cover as he takes off, so the warriors started shooting for no good reason. At that point body canine appears and cries since it can't cross the water to follow its lord. Be that as it may, Bruno sees his next plan. Nighttime of strolling. Korpai at long last comes to the nearest town, yet he's crushed to find it's torching against the night sky. Excessively drained to continue onward, he chooses to rest inside an obliterated corner store and attempts to rest while managing an aggravation from his leg which makes him dreams of the day he lost his loved ones. Tragically, when he figures out how to nod off, he quickly is awakened by some woofing. Korpai emerges to rejoin with his canine just to find there is a lit explosive stick joined to his choker. He quickly removes it and tosses it, yet it detonates so near Korpai is as yet wrecked to the ground. Then he is found by Bruno Wolf and shoots A, who carry a rope to time to dole out. Korpai never lets out the slightest peep, and keeping in mind such an extraordinary rival shoots it, removes his disdain. Bruno and Wolf rapidly follow his model. Before they leave with a pack of gold, Bruno derides him by leaving a piece in Scorpius' pocket for his inconveniences. Whenever they are no more, Korpai stays difficult and steps on a nail on the sign to keep his body up. He likewise goes to the extent that pushing his leg twisted onto a subsequent nail. It is agonizing, yet it keeps him alive the entire night with his canine actually holding up close to him. In the first part of the day, a plane terrains close to the station and the shaking it causes makes the side bend and drop Korpai to the ground. 2 pilots come out searching for gas and one of them finds Korpai and the canine, who won't quit yapping. The subsequent pilot advises him to shoot them both. In any case, when the man falters, Korpai kicks him in the legs and the man falls biting the dust when he hits his head on some garbage. The canine won't quit yapping, so the principal pilot comes to beware of them, allowing Corporate the opportunity to shock him from behind by taking him out with a block. Korpai believes there's no left to expect him and covers the piece Bruno left him. However, at that point the subsequent pilot begins squirming, uncovering he's as yet alive. Understanding the pilot can be helpful with the plane, Corporate returns his gold to make an arrangement. As the pilot watches with repulsiveness, Korpai starts taking out every one of the projectiles and bits of metal from his injuries. Then, at that point, he sears them with fire and shuts them down with wire prior to tidying them up with gas. Then, at that point, he and the pilot disappear on the plane, abandoning the canine. In a little while, The Nazis should stop their excursion when they find an accident plane obstructing the street. Wolf and shoot to move toward the plane and find the pilot dead inside, yet most shockingly, Wolf's rope is around his neck. Perceiving this as a snare, Bruno at last comprehends how frightening Corpy is and orders his men to quickly leave. She warriors travel in the truck with the ladies, and I know chuckles when she hears them discuss what's happening. She makes sense of they won't have the option to do what many Russians kick the bucket trying, and that Corpy isn't in a real sense eternal. He simply won't kick the bucket. In Finnish they call it sisu, which alludes to a white-knuckled type of mental fortitude and unfathomable assurance. Corpy never surrenders, so I know thinks about every one of the Nazis dead soon. Unexpectedly one of the warriors falls dead, and when Different looks outside, he is hauled out of the truck and tumbles to the ground, where he is run over by the approaching tank. I know attempts to take the weapon from the dead fighter, yet at that point, Corpy enters the truck and snatches the weapon first. At the point when he sees that these are guiltless casualties, he tells I keep it next. Corpy jumps on top of that truck and kills the driver by wounding him through the rooftop. Then, at that point, he hauls the body out so I know can assume control over the wheel. Then, at that point, she drives the truck nearer to the tank so Corpy can bounce on it. At the point when individuals in the tank gets dubious, the young ladies utilize the dead body as a mannequin to make it seem as though all is great. Subsequently I know drives the vehicle further to move close to another truck conveying a large portion of the warriors, and the young ladies promptly open fire to kill them all, while I know shoots the driver. As the truck tumbles off the street, individuals in the tank notice the peril and start speeding up. Corpy is still on top and starts raising a ruckus around town with his pickaxe, so the tank out of nowhere stops to make him fall. Wolf emerges to start shooting at him. Yet, Corpy rapidly moves back to the highest point of the tank and starts battling Wolf hand to hand. Subsequent to trading a lot of savage hits, the two of them fall on the ground and the tank leaves with just Bruno and shoots. Corpy hits Wolf a couple of additional times. However, before he can kill him, two additional officers show up on a bicycle. When they see Corpy they perceive the legend and run away. Corpy utilizes the bicycle to pursue the tank, and briefly Wolf believes he's protected, yet at that point the outfitted ladies appear for their retribution. In the end the tank stops to meet with the pilot that has a Bruno makes it a point to shoots and escapes with a pilot in the plane, yet unexpectedly Corpy appears in the bicycle right away, starting to shoot. He just figures out how to break the windows before the plane takes off, so he drives right under it with his pickaxe held high. Bruno peers down and notification the bicycle is moving, so he expects they left corporate behind. However, really the bicycle is vacant. It turns out Corpy is clutching the plane with the assistance of his pickaxe. While he attempts to change spots he nearly falls, however he figures out how to clutch a haggle, advancing inside by breaking an opening on the floor of the bomb room with his pickaxe. Bruno hears a few clamors and the pilot faults it on the plane being old. However, Bruno is suspicious and comes to check. When Bruno opens the entryway, Corpy hops on him and stirs up some dust. Their punches and kicks are totally horrendous. And keeping in mind that Corpy is more talented, he is vigorously injured, and that permits Bruno to overwhelm him. Bruno gets baffled since Corpy won't surrender or shout, and uses a static line to hit him harder as he asks why Corpy won't pass on. At the point when he pursues for a quicker hit with a metal stopping point, Corpy gets it with his hand and interfaces it to the bomb prior to delivering it. Bruno falls along the base, and when they hit the ground, they in a flash detonate. Espresso needs to rest, however out of nowhere the plane starts shaking and falling. It turns out the pilot had been hit by a wanderer shot and has at long last passed on. Frantic to endure, Espresso snatches the gold and lashes himself up just before the plane collides with the marsh, making another blast. In the interim, a completed unit prepares to go after in light of the fact that they see a German tank drawing nearer. Anyway, this ends up being I know and the young ladies who take Wolf attached to the cannon back to the bog. The water helped Corpy endure the accident, and presently he's moving out with the assistance of his pickaxe pack of gold still close by. Occasionally later, Corpy comes to the city of Helsinki on the Nazi bicycle with his canine as organization. He enters the bank where everybody is terrified of his presence and a functioning plane, yet he just has space for one individual. Drops every one of the pieces on the front work area, requesting enormous bills since they will not be as weighty to convey.